An estimated 27 million people are held in slavery worldwide. This means there are more slaves in the world today than were taken from Africa during 300 years of slave trade. We now have more slaves among us than at any other time in human history. After drug trafficking, human trafficking is tied with the illegal arms trade as the second largest criminal industry in the world, and is the fastest growing. In the United States alone, it is estimated there are 200,000 slaves. More than half of the victims are believed to be children. Worldwide, an estimated 1.2 million children are trafficked each year.
It all started for me back in 2013. I live in Lexington, and at the time I was full-time here at Lindsey Wilson, but part-time teaching pastor at Hope Springs Church. And one morning in Lexington, I picked up the Lexington Herald-Leader newspaper, and on the front page of the paper was an article about a couple who had been arrested for human trafficking. And what caught my attention, or I should say slapped me in the face, was the fact that they were the owners of a Subway restaurant. In fact, they owned 4 Subway restaurants in Lexington that literally was like 50 yards from the driveway into our church parking lot. In fact, it was the only restaurant really close to us, and so anything we ever did that involved a restaurant, if I was going to meet someone for lunch, if we were going to have a meal catered at our church for an activity or a meeting, the Subway was the go-to place. But this couple from India who owned these 4 Subway restaurants were charged with human trafficking because they brought some undocumented immigrants from India and put them to work in their restaurants. And yet it wasn't like just getting them a job. In other words, they would promise them a job because of the poverty in their land. Over the years, like I said, I had developed a relationship with the owner or the manager of the Subway. Nayan, he was from India, and he was here legally on a work visa. And we would talk, and I would sometimes offer to say a prayer for he and his workers, just trying to build goodwill and a relationship with them. And he is the one who reported the owners, because one day, well, first of all, the 3 men in question were literally locked in a bedroom in the basement of the Patels, that's the owners of their home. And there was like 1 bed in that room, and the food was, whatever they ate was slid under the door basically, and they were never allowed out except to go to work. And they were told, they were manipulated again by being told that, if you tell somebody you're not, if they know you're here, you're going to go to prison because you're here illegally. One day, Nayan, the manager, he saw a red whip mark on one of the men's neck. And he asked him, he said, what happened? And the guy finally had had enough, and he broke down and told Nayan, he said, I would rather go to jail than spend one more night in the Patels. So anyway, long story short, they were eventually charged. Unfortunately, they really didn't get a whole lot of consequence from their criminal actions. I heard not long ago that they barely served any time at all. But what it did to me is it said, I went, oh my gosh, this is happening right under my nose. I mean, I'm pastoring a church, and our mission statement was to be a safe place for the hurting and broken to find healing and hope in Jesus Christ. And here, 50 yards from our church, is human trafficking. I'd never considered that even happening in my community. So we did some research. We found out some resources here on campus, and that's when we came upon the End It Week. And it's a nationwide campaign on college campuses all over the country who is intended to raise awareness, to help people connect with resources, to find out what's going on and what's available and how to combat human trafficking. So, I hope that the End It Week is a great experience this year as well. I encourage everyone on campus to take part. There'll be, I'm sure, I'm not actually involved in it directly this year other than supporting the students, but it's being put together by students and being led by students. And there'll be displays on hand and programs going on, and I hope everybody will take an opportunity to be involved.
Lindsey Wilson's End It Week is April 1st through 5th.
Please join the movement.